Hey there everybody, Darren here. I just want to give you some very important information for you before you head over to the pumpkin patch for your first shift. First of all, thank you so very much for signing up to help with this year's pumpkin patch. This is our third year doing it. We've raised over $8,000 over the past 2 years for our student ministry programming, our events, our scholarship fund, and it's all because of people like you who give their time and effort just to make this a huge success. So thank you very much for signing up. We love that you're going to be out there, and here are some important things to be aware of before your first shift. So first of all, we want to just introduce you to who it is that sends us these pumpkins. There's a company called Pumpkin Patch Fundraisers, and I want you to learn a little bit more about who they are. So watch this.
Pumpkin Patch Fundraisers began in 1974 with 3 acres of pumpkins and a partnership with one church. Richard and Janice Hamby have been growing pumpkins and adding churches and nonprofits ever since. It's a wonderful partnership of trust. The churches and nonprofit organizations trust us to grow and deliver great pumpkins. We trust those organizations to be diligent in selling their pumpkins, honest in reporting their sales, and attentive to paying our percentage of sales. We are responsible for all the costs associated with growing, harvesting, and shipping, and to ensure you'll have a successful patch, we bear all the risk of loss due to theft and spoilage. While it's unusual in the business world, this relationship of trust has been very effective throughout the years. In fact, that first church, Centenary United Methodist Church, is still with us today. After being hit by Hurricane Hugo, we moved our farming operations to the Navajo Indian Reservation in Farmington, New Mexico. We grow 28 varieties of pumpkins, gourds, and decorative corn in cooperation with the Navajo Agricultural Products Industry, known as NAPI. In 2001, we grew over 2,000 acres, or 2 square miles of pumpkins, and we employ over 1,000 Native Americans during the harvest months of September and October. By 2001, our pumpkin patch family had grown to over 800 locations in 39 states, representing 25 denominations, and the entire project is still based on trust. Pumpkin Patch Fundraisers is dedicated to providing a quality fundraiser for churches and nonprofit organizations through availability of products and resources, providing good customer service, support, and encouragement.
Some of these guys come out like 7 days a week for 4 weeks to work. The office staff comes in at 6 in the morning, at least Marion Perry does. Sometimes we don't get out till 2 or 3 in the morning. I think she got out at 4 2 days ago. It could be more for the churches. We do everything we can to get your pumpkins to you on time, including working at dark and adjusting trucks after midnight. Sometimes things don't come off exactly as they should. Maybe we're short of labor or the weather changes on us, but our full efforts are always in getting the pumpkins to you in a timely manner. It's in our best interest to do so, and we know that you're dependent on us. Thanks for being a pumpkin church.
All right, so now on to some orientation and training. First of all, this training is required, it's mandatory, so thank you so much for landing on this video and taking some time to watch it. This is in lieu of meeting together in person for meetings, and I just think it's a better use of time, and we can get all we need to do done here by you watching this video. Then if there are any questions you have after watching it, definitely contact me. We can go over some things. First of all, there's a second part of this video all about selling and quality control. That is also required, but the last part of this video called unloading, that part is only required of you if you are signed up for that unloading shift on Friday evening. So you can ignore that third section of this video if that's not for you. Now, a couple of pointers on how to be a super fantastic, awesome volunteer. Okay, first, show up 5 minutes early to your shift. That's really going to help out the people who who are before you, that they know that they can count on you to be there on time. And being on time is 5 minutes early. That'll give you guys some overlap to check in with the folks who are on the shift before you, and just make sure if there's any information they need to relay to you, that you have enough time to go over those few things. So that's important. Show up 5 minutes early. Also, don't forget your shifts, okay? That's going to create problems for a lot of people, so make sure you write that down where you're going to see it. Make sure you don't forget those shifts. Put those on your calendar. Next, if anything comes up urgently and you need to get out of your shift, I want you to arrange for your own sub, please, and then let me know once you've done that, and we can get your sub trained in and all that kind of thing. So. All right, a couple of important tips while you're there at your shift. We want you to sell the experience, okay? There's lots of places in town to buy pumpkins, and some of them are cheaper than the ones we sell. And so what we want to do is really sell the experience. You can go to Cub or Kowalski's or anywhere and buy a pumpkin, but we want families and people to come here knowing that they're going to get a friendly face, and knowing that it's for a good cause, and that they're welcome here. It's a chance for us to connect with our neighbors. And so we want this experience, this cause, to be the thing that people are all about. And so remember what the money is going to. It's going to our student ministry to help pay for events and help our scholarship fund. And we want people to know that they're supporting that great cause. Also, when customers are on site, okay, it's all about the customer, and make sure you're giving them a friendly smile. Everybody who steps onto the pumpkin patch as a customer, we want you to greet them and say hi and ask if you can help in any way. Don't be overbearing, but just make sure you're friendly and welcoming. One other important thing about while you're on your shift: never, ever, ever, ever cut prices, okay? Don't offer a sale, don't offer a % off for a bulk discount or anything like that. We're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed by the company, Pumpkin Patch Fundraisers, to cut prices in any way at any time, even up until the closing time on Halloween afternoon. We're not allowed to cut prices, so please don't offer anybody a price break. It's not going to help our bottom line. It's not going to do us any favors, so no cutting prices. All right, so when you arrive at your shift, there's a few things you need to do right away. You want to put on an orange apron. Okay, these let everybody know that you're volunteering, that you're there to help. They help people recognize who's in charge and who's able to help when they have questions. So put on an orange apron. Also, we want you to put on a name tag. That way people can know who you are, and they will know they'll know how to call you by name if they need to. Also, we want you to put on a smile. Again, that friendliness is so huge, so important. We want our neighbors to know that we're welcoming and that we're friendly. So also check in with those whose shift is ending. Ask them for advice, ask them for tips, how the day's going, that kind of thing. Now, I may or may not be on site with you during a shift, but if you need anything, my cell phone number will be there near the cash register, and you can contact me that way if anything should happen to come up. All right, watch for posted reminders, notices near the cashier area. That'll be a way that we communicate with you. Now, a couple rules while you're on duty, a couple things to be mindful of, things to do while you're at your shift, okay? First, one role is the cashier, and that's a really important one. Obviously, you're handling the money. We want this role, the cashier, to go to an adult or a junior or senior in high school, okay? So we need those roles, the cashier role, to go to an adult or a junior or senior, just because you'll be the ones handling money. Also, there's a role that you can do when you're on your shift, and that's called pricer. And what we want you to do then is you're kind of in charge of identifying what the price of each pumpkin is. They're not individually marked. They're priced by size. And we have a method of determining each pumpkin. So if somebody asks a question, hey, how much is this one? Or if they come up to pay for them, you need to identify how much they are. So I happen to have a pumpkin right here. And what we do is we give you this little ring tape measure thing, and you put the ring over the stem like that, and then you're just going to wrap this tape measure around the pumpkin at its widest point. Okay, so wrap it around at its widest point, And then you're going to see there on the tape measure, it gives you a price point where it's nearest to the stem. So this would be a $6 pumpkin. No, check that. It's a $9 pumpkin. All right, so that's a pretty good deal for this beautiful pumpkin. Kind of that's how pricing works. We love these tape measures because they really take the subjectivity out of it, and it's really quite a slick deal. So that's how the pricing works. Also, while you're on duty, quality control is a big thing. So going through at least once during your shift, and just kind of making sure the pumpkins are good. Kind of turn them over and make sure there's no rotting going on. If there is a rotten one or a damaged one, get rid of it. We'll throw that away right away. Making sure every pumpkin out there is one that's able to be purchased and not gross. Okay. And again, also you're greeting, you're helping customers, you're loading up their wagons for them if they need a hand. You're taking pumpkins after they purchase them out to their car for them. If you're offering that for them so that they can have a better experience with us. Okay, a couple of things for you who are being the cashiers. Okay, we accept cash, we accept check written out to WCC, and also we accept credit cards and debit cards. And so if you can, this is really going to be helpful. If you're a cashier, if you're an adult or a junior or senior who's doing a shift, it's going to be a help for us if before you arrive for your shift, you download the PayPal Here app. Now it's a little blue app with a white triangle on it. It's called PayPal Here. We want you to download that app onto your phone, bring your phone with you to your shift, and that's going to help us take credit card purchases. Okay, your phone is going to connect with this thing, and we'll swipe cards through this, and once you have that app and this doohickey, it's going to allow you to take credit card payments. Now, if you have a newer iPhone without the headphone jack, we're going to have a couple of these on hand. This is the adapter for you, so that's going to work for you if you have the newer iPhone. More training will be provided for you when you arrive on just how to make that credit card payment work. But just as long as you arrive with that app already downloaded and your phone fully charged up, that's going to be really great for us. All right, thanks. We appreciate you watching this video. Again, all of you need to take the time to watch the next section on quality control and selling, and then those of you who it pertains to will need to watch that third section on unloading. Okay, thanks very much.
All right, this is the great time where we talk about quality control. Quality control is important. You know, one of the major reasons is you don't want to reach down and pick up a pumpkin to show to someone and have your hand just go through the bottom of a rotted pumpkin. So everybody needs to be vigilant for those pumpkins that are going bad. You can get them out before they turn into soup and smell bad in your patch. So everybody keep an eye out, cull out those rotting pumpkins. Have a place set aside where you can put them, whether it's a big dumpster or the back of your field or you know, whatever your specific situation requires. Everybody needs to help with that. Also, everybody needs to remind each other and your customers that this is not a handle. It's a stem. Don't carry your pumpkins by the stem. The big pumpkins, the stems will break off, and people want to buy pumpkins that have stems. So don't carry your pumpkins by stems. Also, you want to make sure that your pumpkins aren't sitting on straw. They go bad if they sit on straw. They can sit on a bale of hay or something. If you've got a decorative photo op area set up, you just want to make sure it's not collecting moisture under there. Also, your Indian corn will collect moisture itself, so don't leave it out overnight where it's going to get dew on it. Put it under cover, or maybe even take it inside. And then you'll also want to, every 3 to 5 days, straighten your patch back up. Make sure your design is maintained, the pathways are good. Just sort of tidy up. Make sure everything looks as good as it did when you first put the pumpkins down. And then the final thing that's just so important is that you roll your pumpkins every other day.
This is wet on top. It's probably from dew, and it's wet underneath. And if you don't move that around, this pumpkin will never dry out underneath, and it's going to rot from the bottom. That's why you roll them. This is really wet.
Pick it up and show it to me. Show me how wet it is.
How wet this pumpkin is.
Yeah.
And it's just the dew. We didn't have any rain last night. It's just dew. If you leave it in that same spot and never move it, it's going to start getting bad on the bottom. So you need to roll them so they can air and dry out underneath. These are all wet.
Have fun. Everybody needs to pay attention to quality control, and you'll have a gorgeous patch. All right, now we get to talk about sales. When you are out there as a salesperson, this is such a crucial part of your pumpkin patch. You're going to be selling pumpkins, but even more important than that, you get a chance to promote the great things that your organization is doing. You get a chance to talk to people about the wonderful things going on in your church. This is a great time for you to make a wonderful contact in the community. So always be courteous and attentive. Be proactive. Go out and meet someone. Be very sure that you know your organization's mission and the intent that your money will be used for. Because then you can go out and when you meet someone, you can give them a sticker that says, "I've visited the pumpkin patch." You can explain to them, "Hey, we're doing a fundraiser to raise money so that our kids can do this trip, or that we can build a habitat house," or whatever it is. Go right out and make sure people know what it is you're doing. They'll love you for it. They want to know that they're spending money not only for a great pumpkin, but also for a good cause. Please, don't break your prices. It'll hurt your profits. Because if you break your price by 20%, you've also dropped your profit by 20%. So, some of the ways you can deal with bargain shoppers, first of all, never apologize for the prices of the pumpkins. Let people know that your cause is a good one. Speak to them ahead of time about what you're doing the fundraiser for. Also, don't lower your prices, because then the next person along is going to want you to do the same thing, the next person in line. So if someone decides they don't want a pumpkin, remind them that you still take donations. And remember, a donation to your organization is 100% yours. That's not figured into anything that we do. And then the other thing that's important is that you are very clear on how your organization wants you to handle the cash. We suggest that you always have someone near the cash box, and that way no one has to wait to buy a pumpkin, to have someone there. But also it helps to prevent theft and things like that. Make sure you've got plenty of change at the beginning of your shift. It's so easy to run out of ones during a big rush. And then finally, ask your patch coordinator or your financial secretary what you should do in the event that you just accumulate too much cash. You have an overabundance. Ask how you should deal with that. It's important that everybody handles the money in the same way, so everybody feels really good and solid on that. But again, remember, when you're doing sales, go out, greet someone with a big smile, let them know what you're doing. This is your chance to promote the wonderful things you guys are up to, as well as to be able to raise money. And this is the best part of the patch. All right, let's talk about the unloading of your pumpkin. Unloading is such a crucial part of your whole pumpkin patch, because when you treat your pumpkins well, they are going to treat you well. So remember, when you're unloading, to take good care of your pumpkins. It's going to help them stay longer, last longer, be prettier, and ultimately bring you a more successful patch. So a few things. Before your truck even arrives, be very clear about where you're going to put your pumpkins down. Think through whether you want long strips of pumpkins, wide strips of pumpkins with pathways in between them, or whether you're going to do sort of a checkerboard and have winding pathways through. Sort of think that through, because you'll want to know then where to put your volunteer tent. Set that up beforehand. You'll need something like that to make sure you keep your volunteers out of bad weather if any inclement weather comes up at any time. And then when your truck arrives, you'll want to open those doors up, let the moisture come out. Since you already know how your patch is going to be laid out, if you can, pull your truck to the back of your patch. Begin unloading there, and as you unload, you can have the truck move ahead, and you don't have to make such long lines to get to where you're going to be putting your pumpkins down. But remember that you can unload at night quite easily with some inexpensive lights from a hardware store. You can cast some light up into the truck, or you can use car lights to cast light out where your pumpkins are being put down. So remember, you can unload at night. And then a very important thing is, before you begin to unload, check your inventory list. Your patch coordinator or someone there should have a list that we have faxed to you that will have your inventory, what you're supposed to take off and what you're supposed to leave on. So it'll give you the number of boxes to take off of gourds and minis and pie pumpkins and all that sort of thing. It'll also give you the count of the number of bulk pumpkins that you're supposed to remove. Please unload your order. Keep track of that, and I'll get back to that in a minute. All right, so you've got your truck, you've got it set up. You're remembering pumpkins are vegetables. Treat them gently. Your doors are open, and you remember that this is called a stem. It's not a handle. Pumpkins don't have handles. You see people carrying pumpkins by the stem. Please remind them not to do that, because if the stem breaks off, it's hard to sell that pumpkin. And so you'll want to keep the stem on there as best you can. As you begin, you'll want to set a line that starts at the back of the truck. So they drop the pumpkin down to the first person in that line. They hand it off to someone. It's always, I find it's best if the person who receives it is facing that person. They can hand it off and then hand it off to someone else. And that way, it makes for easier not having to twist and turn. But however you do it, make a line out, hand your pumpkins or gently toss them to the next person in line. And the last person then will gently lay the pumpkin on the ground in that pre-designed fashion that you've already set up and that everybody's very clear about. And then if you use a wheelbarrow to get pumpkins out there, maybe some of the really big pumpkins you can't carry, make sure the wheelbarrow is lined with straw or has a blanket or something in it so that you don't damage the skin of the pumpkin. That makes it rot or go bad more quickly. Then also you'll have a line on the inside, and those are the folks who take the pumpkins off of the stack and hand them out. And safety-wise, and also for taking care of your pumpkin, what you'll want to remember is not to allow avalanches. Avalanches are when the angle gets too steep on the face of the pumpkins and you pull one out from the bottom and a whole bunch cascade down. You can prevent that by wearing soft-soled shoes and climbing to the top of the pile, taking pumpkins off of that so that the angle is a little less intense and you won't have the avalanches. It keeps you safe and it keeps your pumpkins safe. And then also the people on the inside, or maybe you'll have someone who's designated, will find a pumpkin that's got some writing on it. That's your model. It's got a number written on there. Pull the models aside, keep them safe, or pass them down to someone who'll put them at the sales table. You want to keep your models in one place and intact, and we'll go over that later because we'll use those for pricing. And then the safety issues. If you are at any time throwing pumpkins, everybody needs to be aware of that because you can have mistakes. I know I've seen it happen where someone gets conked, so be careful with that. The other thing is, don't stem your friend, or he won't be your friend for long. That's where if you're tossing a pumpkin to someone, don't make the stem come right at them. Turn the stem so it's away. Believe me, that's the best way to keep friends. Finally, you'll want to count all your pumpkins as they come off. That's going to help us know exactly how many pumpkins you have, so when it's time, we can help resupply you if you need them. It also makes sure that you get the fair amount of pumpkins you're supposed to get, and the next people down the line get their fair amount. So you want to keep track of those pumpkins. And it's not just the good pumpkins. If you're supposed to get 1,000 pumpkins and you're unloading a pumpkin, you see one that's got a bad spot or it's cracked open, and you throw it aside, keep that one in your count, because you're supposed to take off the first 1,000 pumpkins that you get to. It's not that they were loaded randomly, and you should take them off that way. So you don't go looking for better pumpkins or different pumpkins. They should be pretty much all the same all the way through. So if you take off, if your order's for 1,000 and you pull aside 10 broken ones, then you add to that your 990 good pumpkins, and that's how you get your 1,000. So please remember that. And then, of course, at the end, you want to clean up your portion back to the next set of pumpkins. Or if you're the last one on the truck, if it was your whole truck, you want to clean that all the way off and make sure that it's been swept and ready for the next load that'll be picked up.